All right, so let's talk about the time zones and finding managing your time and where you're spending your energy and your time. And your energy is very important, that you don't spend too much time, too much energy in doing the wrong things that distract you. So there's four levels of activity or things that you can be doing as far as time management. And the first thing is level one is what's called important. It's not important, not urgent. Okay, so it's not really important, it's not urgent. We call this the distraction zone. Okay, where you're playing video games, you're eating just because. Not because you're even hungry, just because you want to fill some time. Maybe you're just going shopping, window shopping. You don't really need anything, so you just have time, so you're just wasting it, and it's not important, it's not urgent, and you're just kind of like waiting for things to get urgent. And so you don't want to be in this zone very often. And so there's times to do that type of stuff, but if you're only acting on things when they become urgent, when they become deadlines, then you're spending too much time in level one, which is not important, not urgent. Level two is called urgent but not important. All right, and people who are stressed live in this area. It's like everything has to be done right now, even though it's not important. So anything that comes across their desk, and these people are always frazzled, and they're constantly running around. They're like, I got to get this done. I got to do this. I got to clean this, and everything. They're always being pulled in different directions. Like they're constantly making to-do lists. And they never get anything off the to-do list because everything has the same level of importance, because none of it's really important. Or the things that are important get the same level of attention as things that aren't important, so they run around doing all kinds of stuff, randomly doing things and feeling stressed because they've got all this stuff. It's like, oh, I got a paper to write, but I've got to do laundry, I've got to clean my room, I've got to call my my boyfriend or girlfriend, I've got to do this paper, I have to I'm supposed to meet Johnny, we're supposed to go to the gym, and all that stuff. And some of those things are important, and some of those things really aren't important. Okay, but they stress and they keep all the stuff in their head. And so, and we'll talk about to-do lists and how to organize your to-do list and taking time to plan your day out a little bit better, as opposed to trying to keep going in your head. So, you don't want to be in the urgent and not important zone either. Now, then the next zone is what's called urgent and important. Okay. Now, what you want to really do is when you get into this zone, when you're in the urgent and important. Some things are urgent and important, and they're emergencies, and you have to deal with them. Okay, so somebody cuts their finger and it's urgent. You got to take them to the hospital. It's important. You got to do that right now. And so something happens that wasn't foreseen. Okay, so sometimes you have to be in this zone just because you can't foresee everything. You can't plan everything, but that should be few and far between. Okay, a lot of times, like some people are like, oh, I'm in the urgent and important phase because I got a final tomorrow and I haven't studied all semester. Well, yes, that's true. It is urgent and it is important. But that is not, you just didn't plan properly, so that made you go into that zone. Okay, so I used to have these conversations with my reps all the time. They wouldn't make a plan, and then they would start telling me, oh, I can't work this weekend because I've got a final, I've got a paper, I can't do this because I've got this going on. And I'm like, well, how long did you know about this paper? How long did you know you had finals? Finals come up the same time every year. How come you haven't studied? And they're like, oh, well, and then it's like, well, you don't understand how important this final is important, and I was just like, well, that it might be important to you, but as your boss, important to me is that we make sales and we make our office run, and so that you do your job, and so you can't just take off, and you just didn't plan it out. So I'm sorry, but and then that make me look like the bad guy. So, but that's fine. You just understand that was poor planning on their part. So poor planning will put you into the urgent and important, and you don't want to be in urgent and important all the time anyway, because in that just means that usually you spend a lot of time in zone one, okay, being distracted, and then, oh my God, finals. Okay, oh my God, I got to get this done. It's urgent and important, and that's not where you want to be. So the level 4 is what's called important or very important, but not urgent. Level 4 is where you want to be most of the time, where you're spending time doing the things that are important, but it's not urgent yet, so it's not putting stress on you. So, first of all, some of the things that are the most important things in life are never urgent. Okay, it's never urgent to take your kids to Disney World. Okay, it's never urgent that you spend time, with your boyfriend or girlfriend, unless they're like, well, I'm going to dump you. But at that point, it's too late. You can't be like, oh, you're about to dump me. Let me go spend time with you. It's never urgent that you exercise. You go in the gym and actually, like, if I don't exercise today, I'm gonna die. Those things are never urgent. And so we tend to put them off, okay? And so you want to be able to do those things that are important to you. And this is when you have goals, you can say, okay, here are the steps, here are the things that we've broken down with our goals, and these are the things that are important to me. These are the things that I want in my life, and I don't get distracted, or I'm not being pulled on different, I'm not getting pulled away for something that seems important, but it's not important. And it's because I know what's important to me, because I've set my goals, I've broken them into tasks, and these are the things that are important to me. And it's not urgent, but I'm going to work towards those things. And that's when you feel most fulfilled, okay? So if it's important that you get an A on your test, you don't want to be in level 3 where, like, the test is tomorrow, let me cram. But, a month before, you want to be like, okay, I'm already studying, I'm planning out my attack towards finals, a month before. And yes, is that weird? Sure, of course. And it's only weird because most kids don't do it. But the successful people do. Successful people don't run around. I probably have said this in another video, but the example of Donald Trump. Donald Trump had 2 businesses that were failing, and he was in a radio interview, and the interviewer was like, "You have 2 businesses that are completely bankrupt and failing miserably. How does that make you feel? Like, how do you handle that? How do you deal with it?" And Donald Trump's like, I have 56 businesses. I don't even know which 2 you're talking about. So. Yeah, I don't care. So, and the reason why it could be, like, how do you run 56 different companies at one time? Well, you don't do it by running around like a chicken with your head cut off, doing things that are urgent. He's already planning in the future. Great leaders always think in the future, and they're always working on things when it's not urgent. They're taking care, and they're foreseeing problems. They're taking care of things before they come up, as opposed to waiting till there's a catastrophe and then reacting. They're proactive versus reactive, and that's where you want to be. Start looking ahead. Take care of problems before they come up, and don't get stuck in level 1 or level 2 or level 3 a lot, unless you have to be. Level 4 is where you want to be most of the time, spending time looking into the future, and how can you take care of what's coming up that I can take care of now while it's not urgent, and that way when I'm never in that stress pattern. So hope this helps as far as your just understanding the concepts of where you are in time management.